Hey guys, today we're going to be repairing my rear diff cover on my Chrysler 8 1/4. What happened was a few weeks ago I got stuck on a rock on a trail I'd never been on before. Got hung up so bad that I had to get winched off. And when doing so, I dented the crap out of the diff cover in the rear. With replacing the rear diff cover, I opted to go with a Solid Axle Industries cast steel diff cover. Now the reason I chose this diff cover was because it seems pretty stout. The price point was pretty good. It was under $100, as well as it has a raised fill plug for increased fluid capacity. Now I'm not going to go right to the plug per se. I'm actually going to go about 2.5 quarts, which is about a half a quart over what the factory diff cover will hold, only because I don't want to flood the diff. But reason being is that my rear diff, or my rear axle, is pitched, I believe 6 degrees, to compensate for some driveline vibes. So we're gonna give this a shot. I couldn't argue with the price. It was under $100, so let's see what we got. All right, so in the box came a couple things of stickers, which everyone loves stickers. More RTV, or new sealant, which actually I am not going to use. I actually have a lube locker on the rear, which I kind of foresaw this happening, so I went and got a lube locker, which I highly suggest because it makes installation and cleanup a million times easier. Here's the new diff cover, and this thing's pretty beefy. It's got some beef to it, and it's powder coated, kind of like a hammered silver, a hammered black color, so it'll blend in under there. I'm not all about the aesthetics, so I'd rather not paint it. Then it has new hardware and the fill plug. I'm going to start out getting a drip pan underneath the diff. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to run a 13 millimeter socket and start backing these out. So the dent here is prohibiting me from getting this on, the socket on, so I'm going to try see if I can get a wrench on there, but if not, I might have to get a pair of vice grips or a hammer and dent that back. 13 mil. Let's see if I can get any type of bite on this. Of course not. Let's see. Oh, there we go. All right. Might have lucked out here. This is going to be a process, but bit of clearance. Enough. There we go. Alright, and it looks like a half inch. Half inch seems to be, yeah, half inch wrench is the way to go on this. And these are factory bolts. But I would normally be using a socket wrench here, but I can't get past this lip. But looks like I just created enough space to get this bolt off. So now what I'm going to do is start taking them all out, but I'm going to leave the very, very top one so the cover can dangle and crack open. Now that it's pretty much done draining, I'm going to go ahead and pull this cover. Hopefully I don't lose the lube blocker here. There we go. Now, I got some wood chips. That's all wood right there. It's funny. Looks pretty good. Nothing too crazy. I don't see any chunks, which is a plus. We're just gonna let that drip dry for a minute. I'm gonna take off the lube locker. I might even just wipe it down. You know, I'm gonna let it finish dry, drip and dry. I'm gonna wipe this down and start the reinstall of the new cover. Okay, so here's the difference. I mean, that looks to be at least 1/4 inch thick. This is a smaller gauge stamped steel, so this will dent pretty quick. Very case in point, that's exactly what happened to mine. I mean, I got lucky that I just caught the kind of protective part, the rolled part, and I didn't affect the mounting lip, the mounting surface, so I got pretty lucky there. I believe these are designed to mate perfectly up to the differential housing, so that way nothing kind of hangs out and nothing can get dragged off. So while that's dripping dry, I'm just going to do a quick clean of this so we don't get any additional contaminants in there, although there's really not much. Oops. A piece of paper towel there. Yeah, there's really not much in there in the ways of anything. So I'm just going to go ahead, blow this out, let it dry, and clean up the lube lock and start reinstalling. Into with the solid axle industries diff cover is that the hardware they provide, yet good, is a little longer than the factory. I want to say probably about 1/4 inch, maybe a little bit longer. So what I had to do off camera was run a tap down one of the holes that was gunked up or not run all the way through, or just, you know, had a bunch of road crap in it from all the years this Jeep's been on the road. I went through and torqued all the bolts to spec and found that one of them was sitting a little higher than the others, as well as the lock washer wasn't fully collapsed, or not even really collapsed at all. So I took it back out, ran a tap down, and put the bolt back in, and everything is good to go. So something you might want to keep in mind if you are going to go with the solid axle diff cover. So on the top, I have these e-brake cables that usually attach a bracket to the top bolt of the diff cover. It's angled and it's set up for what looks like a factory depth. You see this bolt right here sticks out, and between the thickness of the housing and the diff cover right here, it's about a thumb's width for me. It's a lot thicker now because of the thickness of the diff cover. So what I'm just going to do is just try to straighten this out. It'll set up a little higher, but it should be fine. So I'm just going to go ahead, grab a pair of vice grips, and make this angled bracket flat. But I think she'll do. I'm gonna go to 21 foot-pounds or 250 inch-pounds. Now for everybody's least favorite part of the job, I think, is refilling. Just because the fluid just does not come, it's so thick, it just doesn't come out really smoothly. I wish I had some trick for this, but I don't, unfortunately. So, I'm gonna get this going. I just finished filling up the rear end with 2 3/4 quart of 80/90. I could not feel the fluid level on my finger when I stuck it into the fill hole. Solid raised their fill hole about an inch and a half, I believe, to compensate for any type of angled axle. But I've also heard too that if you fill up to the fill hole, you could blow out the axle seals by kind of overloading them with too much fluid. So I kind of erred right in the middle. The stock rear end takes about a little over 2 quarts. I put in about 2.75. I feel pretty confident with that, so we'll go with that. I used 80/90 gear oil, and now I'm going to put in the fill plug, which is a 3/8 Allen head bit. No specific torque spec on this because the factory comes with a rubber grommet plug and not so much a threaded plug. So I just snug this up wrist tight and I'll call it a day. Right now, doesn't look like I'm leaking anything. Yeah, we look to be pretty dry. So it should be good. If you liked that or found it helpful, please consider subscribing and also check out my other videos on my page. And now, this is the FM Jeeper, the YouTube certified auto mechanic, signing off.